If you work in TV, you already know the industry isn't waiting around for you to catch up. Creator businesses, social platforms, and digital-first studios are rewriting how content gets made, funded, and watched. And the companies figuring that out first are the ones pulling ahead. That's exactly why we built the TellyCast Digital Content Forum. It's on the 5th of November at the BFI South Bank in London, and it brings together the community actually making these decisions in the world of social video. Digital commissioners, platform strategists, brands, distributors, creator businesses, producers who've moved fast and got it right, and a few who will tell you honestly what went wrong. No fluff, just the conversations that senior people in this industry actually need to be having right now, and the opportunity to pitch, network and learn with leaders at the only industry event 100% focused on the new production economy. Tickets are moving quickly this year for our 5th anniversary, faster than any other previous edition. So head to digitalcontentforum.com to book your place. That's digitalcontentforum.com. We'll see you at the BFI South Bank on the 5th of November. Hello and welcome to TellyCast. I'm Justin Crosby. This week, we're continuing our build-up to this year's Digital Content Forum, back at the BFI South Bank on the 5th of November, by revisiting another session from last year's event. This one's called Factual Futures, Who Owns the Audience? And it goes right to the heart of a question the whole factual sector is currently wrestling with. Lucy Smith of Fawkes Digital chaired a panel with Gerrit Kemming, founder and MD of Quintus Studios, Marvin Benoit, founder of Baker's Dozen Studios and former commissioning editor at Sky Originals, and Jamie MacDonald, head of originals at Afterparty Studios. Between them, they get into why owning your audience now matters as much as owning your IP, how Quintus uses its YouTube channel to replace 2 or 3 pre-sale partners on a production, the mechanics of splitting IP between studios and creators, and what happens when traditional broadcasters decide not to compete in this space at all. Here's the panel. I hope you enjoy the show.
So film your documentary on an iPhone, put it on YouTube, and make loads of money. Yeah. Is it that simple? I am Lucy Smith, founder of Fawkes Digital, here to steer a discussion around the evolution of factual content and formats in the digital sphere. And I'm joined by titans in the genre. So Gerrit Kemming, founder and MD of channel operator, digital distributor, and commissioner Quintus Studios. We have Marvin Benoit, former commissioning editor at Sky Originals and creative executive for YouTube Originals, and now founder of Baker's Dozen Studios. And we have Jamie MacDonald, development don, spearheading format development as head of originals at Afterparty Studios. So round of applause to these guys. So we all know it's not quite as simple as just click and upload and then rolling in the Benjamins. So I'm here to elucidate some of the myths. It'd be good to get the experts' opinions on this. So Gerrit, at Quintus, you've spent years growing an audience on your YouTube channel. And I think this is a theme that we want to touch on throughout the conversation is that, who delivers value here? Is it people who own audience or people who own IP? How do those two worlds interact? So you're serving them with both acquired and Quintus original factual content on your channels. Why is owning an audience so crucial to your business model?
Well, it probably depends on what you are, what you want to do. You can make money by producing. You can make money by owning, by being a channel or being a distribution company. We decided to be all of it, because, well, it's probably the question where we come from. We come from being a distributor and working in traditional television, and for a long time, we were also in the business of financing productions like linear productions and especially documentary series. And we did this by going out there with paper pitches and finding pre-sale money. You needed 5, 6, 7 years ago, you needed 3, 4 partners to be really able to fund the program that way. And then say from 2020 on, it just took so long to get 4 people on board or 4 companies on board. It became more or less impossible to do so because when you're at number 3 or 4 in the deal, number 1 was already either merging with somebody else or budget freeze or out of the game or whatever. So we decided, well, we not decided, but we recognized our own channels in the meantime grew so much that we can replace one or two or maybe even three of them. And that was a lot more fun game because we were, we could decide ourselves what we want to do. And that's why I think it's, for us, it was very important that we had our own audience or still have it, because we can simply run our own machine without being dependent on other players.
And so your audience becomes your main revenue driver, of course, in that sense. I mean, Marvin, as a production studio, you're coming at it from obviously a very different angle. You partner with creators and digital channels to get your new IP in front of their audiences. So would you say creators are the new broadcasters? And if so, how do you get your shows on their channels?
Yeah, as you said, I come from a different background. Traditional TV, you'd go to a commissioner, you'd pitch an idea. If they liked it, they'd invest in it, and then you'd see it on TV, on your screens, once you've made it. I guess when the strategy turns to bigger, fewer, better, because the scale and the ambition of those ideas have to compete with, the global big series like, the shows that you might see, Squid Game's the game show, that obviously is a huge show that takes so much resources. And so how many of those shows can a Channel 4 or BBC do over the year? So those opportunities to try out new formats become far and fewer between. So I think the online community, there's an opportunity there to connect to audiences who are underserved on traditional TV. And those communities, those audiences are completely engaged with those creators. And those creators don't want to lose IP. They don't want to lose the opportunity and the audience that they've made. So, but they're screaming for ideas. They're screaming for ambitious ideas and innovation. And I feel like that's an opportunity to use my skills in coming up with ideas that I would do for Netflix or BBC, and trying to work with broadcasters that are willing to invest on these platforms, and working with creators who want to talk to the global majority.
Yeah, I mean, that feeds into my next question, actually, for Jamie, which is like, if creators are coming up with their own ideas all the time and are creating their own format already, like, what is the point of a production company?
Fair enough. Fair. There is none. Yeah. That is a fair question. Well, I guess obviously not all creators are created equal in that sense. And it's like, when you are talking about some of the biggest ones in the game, e.g. the Sidemen, like we do work with them as a production company because we bring expertise in certain things. For example, the Sidemen match. We've been the production partner for the past 4 years. It's something that we do very well. And as Victor was saying earlier, it's not necessarily something they do. So they bring us in that sense. And it's sort of horses courses. It's there are lots of creators who want to do stuff on their channel forever and ever and amen, and want to do it alone, and fair enough. They are not invited to our Christmas party sort of idea. But there are many out there who maybe want to pivot, do something slightly different, want to do something bigger. Lots of them, very few of them, I would argue, are one-man bands. Like smaller ones for sure, they do have one or two people, lots of them. But if they're wanting to do a bigger show, then often they are coming to a production company for your expertise, or we have the piece of IP, like sharing IP. Like we announced a show with at MIP that we're splitting with that we're working with one of the UK's biggest talents, Nella. That is an idea where it's like, two parties coming together to, make yourself bigger than the sum of your parts would be our argument. Whether they agree, that is obviously a different kettle of fish.
Well, splitting IP is obviously a massive part of that. And if it's okay just to throw to you guys and talk a little bit about that, like with new business models and people thinking about how to get new format IP commissioned and out in front of audiences, like, is it more important than ever to think about splitting IP in imaginative ways? Marvin, maybe you could speak to that.
I mean, me and Jamie and After Party have split IP. So we've created Don't Get Catfish, which is on 4.0, and it's been a great collaboration of using the innovation of like the experience that you guys have in Wealth of working with creators and the productions and the way the speed of which we are listening to the audience and collaborating. And I'm bringing in my experience working in broadcast, and it's a beautiful thing. It feels like what we're doing feels fresh, and the audience are responding as well. They're like engaged, and they're seeing the work that we put in. They're seeing that the format feels different to what they're used to, but still feels, I hate the word localization, but when I say localization, what I really mean, it's not just about like changing language, it's about a culture. It's about like cuts and the way it looks. It feels like it belongs on that channel and it's for that audience, and they accept it, and there's a real-time reaction to it. And that's important. You know, I think there's something that actually all broadcasters can take note of and say, actually, we should be playing in this field.
Well, it's also, as an industry, I'm sure everyone here talking to everyone is getting a sense of that just collaborative energy that seems to be infusing this sector as it's growing. And I think that definitely feeds into the tone of the content, which feels optimistic and fun and playful, both from behind the camera and in front as well. I mean, Gerrit, obviously you commission new content as well. Like, do you have interesting models where you're splitting IP with the people you're working with?
Yeah, splitting IP is a bit a difficult game for us because we're from Germany, and you might have heard that there's some bureaucracy problems sometimes in Germany. So that means splitting IP is really difficult because you would need to set up your own like complete company and asset for each co-production that you do where you split IP. But what we do is that we work in different ways with producers together. So what we usually do is, so Adam, our creative director, sitting somewhere in the audience. Oh, there he is. So he built up this amazing pool of like really talented and highly skilled filmmakers and VJs that are all over the planet, and they know what's working for us or what kind of topic buckets. And whenever they have access to a story that they think would fit for us, they reach out to Adam. Adam says, yes, let's go for it. And then what we do is we usually cover their real hard cost, so that there is no margin, there is no like camera equipment that they own but put in the calculation. So that's not what we could do. But what we do is we offer our channel network and the potential of generating money. Same for our linear and digital global distribution. And of all money that we make, we give up to 25% cut to the producer.
And that's the power of owning the audience, right? Because then you have that option going forward. I mean, actually, talking about the money. I mean, we all want to make money, right? As individuals, as companies, that's how we grow this industry. Gerrit, you are creators, publishers, commissioners. What factual genres make the most money for you, and why?
Want to get ahead in digital-first content? The Drop is the go-to newsletter for industry professionals, delivering insider news, trends, and insights straight to your inbox. Navigate the fast-changing landscape of digital-first production, distribution, and monetization. Sign up now for free at dropmedia.co.uk and stay informed with The Drop.
Well, good question. So I should know my data. Well, I mean, it's so the how you make money is actually on the one hand the reach, of course, but then also where in which territories you have what kind of reach, right? Because that determines again the CPM. Like if you have a big audience in the US, you make a lot more money, or if you have a small audience in the US, you make more money than having a big audience in the Philippines, for example, right? So it depends on which genres work where. But I think for us, what is definitely one that works well is engineering, for example. Nature is a good one. And then just because of the vast interest, it's always what we call a danger porn, which is like gangs and weapons and drugs and tough neighborhoods and that kind of stuff. So different KPIs that come together to make it successful.
I think it was interesting as well, thinking about AI and the discussions we've heard today, like how those danger porn stories, like they're quite difficult to tell with AI if you're getting into real people's lives and that real jeopardy. Like, so you're quite confident that will stay people holding cameras for a while? Or?
After seeing the session this afternoon, I'm not confident of anything anymore.
Yeah. Well, you can have them doing whatever dangerous things you want. No health and safety. And
you can be prompted. I mean, it's maybe even good for production people.
No. Well, it's interesting as well because obviously you've got your channels, you've got your factual genres that perform really well, but also your commissioning formats, right? It's a new game you've been experimenting with over the last few years, and I know that one format in particular, the Green Deal, is really interesting one to talk about. It's like a flavour of Dragon's Den for sustainable business. Like, how do you intend to grow this series? How did you go about getting it funded, and kind of what's the long-term vision for a format like that? How you've exploited it?
Yeah, in the end, the currency is always reach, right? If you have vast reach, then you will be able to monetize it. And so the question is, how do you get the vast reach? And in this case, and we heard a lot about this today, it's bringing together big creators with their existing audiences and find a model that works for the show that you do, but also for each creator and for their audiences, right? And if you do the right mix, bring them together, then in this case, together with a German like DBU, which is a German, it's a how do you say, like governmental institution that funds sustainable stuff. In combination with that, then brands will be highly interested or are highly interested in the show.
Just finding pots of money, guys. Just find pots of money everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is the learning from the last 5-10 years, right? It's not, as you said, it's not like going to a broadcaster, get the money, produce it anymore. It's like co-producing, selling afterwards, third window, second window, own audience, finding brands that fund it, finding institutions that fund it. So that is the exciting thing.
But that's literally our job, no? It's like I think we were chatting yesterday over a very nice coffee, and it's like frontier territories for that. It's like it's Darwinian, adapt or die. You got to go find the money. And I think that scares a lot of people, but what we've talked about it quite a bit. I think it's like super exciting time. Like we bought a fully brand funded 4-part doc series to a UK broadcaster, and they're like, yes, happy days, we'll take that free show. But it's a digital play, so it's like this is the future. Like all the days of one funding TV is dead. It's like film, I would argue, of like patchwork financing. That's the future, which is cool. It's like it's not the end of the world.
Well, I think a kind of a bottleneck that a lot of traditional TV production companies had is once they pitched it to X number of broadcasters, X number of commissioner relationships, that kind of idea dies on a hard drive, doesn't it? Sort of you pack it away, move on to the next one. Whereas actually, when you rethink a model to say anyone could be a commissioner, whether it's a brand or a tourism board or a governmental body, it kind of suddenly opens the playing field to getting things funded in really different, interesting ways.
True, but the dangers, I'd argue, for certain brands or online, it's not that online is where you go to the bottom of the drawer and pull out the dusty one and be like, no one had this. Do you fancy it? It's like the online audience in particular is like uber discerning. So they will smell a rat or a shit format quick.
And in the end, it needs to convince the audience, right? So it might be dusty or not. But if you're confident that it will reach an audience, then you can maybe also find a way into it, producing it, getting it out there to whoever, with creators or with a broadcaster or with a channel like us, or going to Jamie and they help you, and then do it, and then the money comes later, right? That is different. It's of course more risky. It's more, you need to be brave and invest into something. But when you're convinced,
I'm a believer in that, in the investment. The CPMs are always changing. The negotiation and the dialogue with these platforms are always changing. You only have to look at the record industry to see when it died and CDs stopped. There was conversations going on, and now they're happy how much money they're getting. I mean, the artists themselves, another conversation. But the truth of the matter is there is money out there. So just get it out there and you've got to be in it to win it. No one wants the BBC to become blockbusters.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, I don't know. They're just not. But I think actually, Marvin, it would be a great point to jump into this conversation about risk, right? And about who bears the burden of risk when it comes to testing new formats. And if you, as a production company, so believe in an idea, so believe in a piece of IP, how do you use digital platforms to test and iterate new IP? Is it important to start thinking about our development process as trialing IP on social media platforms?
Look, we need to. I pitch ideas all the time. Some get stolen. Some people tell me no. The reality is I know that I trust my process. When you've got a good idea, if you believe in it, put your money where your mouth is. I invest in my own shows. I invest in my own tape. this is just an opportunity for us to say, do you know what? I'm going to invest in it and I'm going to pull it out and the audience are going to tell me that it's great. And when you build that audience, when you can connect with an audience, you'll see the traction. People will start believing in something that exists because it's no longer in your brain. And there's an audience that love it and they will connect to it. So I think it's just about taking innovation and taking that, I hate the word risk because it sounds really, but it's that golden pillar, or like Sky used to always talk about this, which was like content, technology, innovation. And, and like at the moment, online is where that's at. That's where it's happening. I feel like this is the community where we're taking risks, where we are trying new things. And we don't know where it is, but you've got to be in it to win it. Like if I had said invest in Bitcoin 20 years ago, you probably wouldn't have done it, but now you'd be very happy if you did. So
yeah, it's also, I guess it's a question of price as well, right? Because I think digital budgets, a lot of people in the traditional TV space would look at digital budgets and kind of balk at them and go, we can't possibly create a series for 10K. But like, I think people have to be much more innovative in their production models to think, how can I make something as an MVP format, get it out in front of an audience, test it, iterate it, and then grow it into something potentially bigger budget? I mean, does that speak to your development processes and how you fund and get content in front of audiences or not?
Well, I would argue not all online budgets, as in not taking away streamers, are small. There are some opportunities, and we as a company have been very fortunate to work with healthy budgets. So I think like that is a myth in some ways, I would argue. But then you're just changing your production model. It's not quite like, stack them high and sell them fast. But like in Factual, we I would arguably say, yes, it's lower than some linear tariffs, but there is real ability to make good money. But you are just doing it at a much faster pace. It's like the Spirit Studios gentleman saying that sort of 8-week turnaround. It's like a Catfish that Marvin and I are doing together. It's like we're doing that quick from commission to shoot to Ep 1 basically done is like 6 to 8 weeks. We should both know that. But it's,
then second series is commissioned before it even went out, right?
Yes, that is true. Happy days there. But yeah, I think we're just adapting with the times. And like, obviously AI is another kettle of fish there that I'm not experienced enough to say enough in, I would argue.
Also, I agree that you guys are fortunate to work on like significant budgets, but there is also, and that is the good thing, right? There is the other way. If you don't get the budget from another player, then you can still do it. And YouTube is a place, for example, or socials in general is a place where it's not all about like being the highest quality, shiny version of yourself, but maybe do it very authentic. Well, we heard about is authentic over, but I still believe it's like there is a difference, and you can do very authentic, very like basic production stuff that is really successful. And for us, for example, so we need to decide which genres do we want to go in. We can't do, on the budgets that we work on, we can't do like the big history, CGI heavy kind of documentary. That's not possible. But access driven, where you can go like camera on your shoulder and the story is the actual success thing, then it works. So you need to be smart in where you put your money, but there are a lot of options.
Because Gerrit, you're arguing that the online audience care less about the fluff in Factual.
What's fluff?
As in the shininess in the Factual format, the garnish.
Well, yeah. I mean, that works. It works. Like the very shiny documentary works, but at the same time, there is a big audience for that story that you've never seen, no matter if it's like GoPro produced or mobile produced or like big camera produced.
Yeah, the tools have democratized the point of entry.
Yeah,
and people can experiment and take creativity from their bedrooms and gain huge audiences, and it's a very exciting time.
And it helps you prove IP very quickly, right? It helps you prove it quickly and cheaply without having to rely on a massive budget, and then it didn't work, and then that's gone.
The issue then being breaking through, as there was a lot of, as we say, there's a lot of internet landfill of like stuff that's just piped out there, and then you have to work out how you break through, which is the issue, which is obviously advantage for you, Gerrit, having the taps of like being able to have the distribution platform there.
Yeah, that's what we do a lot, to produce a pilot, get it out there, get the data, does it work, does it not work, and then have something to show also to broadcasting partners, for example, and then we do the series.
But I guess also that speaks to you, Jamie, talking about the show with Nella, right? It's like actually she owns an audience. You're working with her to get IP in front of her audience. So it's thinking very creatively about how you can access audience with your new IP. And if that's partnering with a creator, that's just, it's just a different type of channel, I guess. Different.
Yeah, it's like if you want to get an action movie fan, you get Tom Cruise. It's like it's the same as for many years before. I guess the danger is though that audiences don't always port, I would argue, when you take X person from YouTube onto somewhere else. Like one needs to be careful about that, especially in Factual, I'd argue. And it's like authenticity of the person doing what they're doing. If they're presenting a obs doc or something, it's like there are some talent who I would argue don't transition very well into that.
And I'm interested, just kind of going back to the full monetization of stuff, right? It's because regardless of whether you've got a healthy budget or a small budget, like we don't just want our productions, our Factual productions to live as one series that kind of lives and dies and doesn't go on to do anything else. Like, would you say that digital, you have to think very differently about IP and quite imaginatively about IP in terms of taking punts at the beginning and seeing stuff grow? Like, for example, like Don't Get Catfish, amazing show. Presumably you don't want it to just stay as 1 or 2 series on 4.0. Like, do you want it to become a big global hit? Like, how are you thinking about IP in a different way? And I think that goes for all of you.
I'm thinking about it quite differently in the sense that I'm like, well, what is that show that with all the bells and whistles, and then how do I go backwards? How do I turn it into an idea that can be made on a digital budget? And like, what are the parts of that show that could be the test bed for a format? And I'm doing that constantly in terms of all my IP now, in terms of figuring out what at the heart is the granular about this idea that I like, and where would I love that trajectory to go? Like if it was to go onto Netflix, like we've seen Pop the Balloon do now, like how do you do that? What does it look like?
Yeah.
Well, the sound of Catfish on Netflix sounds good.
Yeah,
we should discuss it a bit later. But yeah, for us, I think it's like we're like any sort of production company. We're looking to take anything that we have and leverage it as in every different way that we can, whether that be for a different platform in the English language, in Deutsch, elsewhere. It's like for sure that is a lot of my time and our CEO's Josh's time going out and doing that and trying to push the long tail, so to say, of our content, because as I said, there are big budgets, but not all of them are big, and it is it's a long-term game in that sense. But I think Factual is very good for it, as opposed to potentially others, especially in sports. And that's something we've talked about a bit. It's like sports is a real growth area, I would argue, in Factual.
Well, we've got 30 seconds left. So I think we'll probably just round off with one final question, which is, digital can feel like a game where no one really knows the rules, but you have to be in it to win it, as Marvin said. Like, what is the risk for traditional broadcasters and Factual production companies not playing in this space? Keep it really quick. We've got 10 seconds.
Then I need to think quickly, which is really difficult for me, at least. So I think they can play their game, go on with that, but it gets smaller and smaller. So if they want to do, so either they become the relevant set and they are happy with what the leftover is, or they need to play the new game.
I mean, we're seeing convergence ultimately, where like people are agnostic in terms of like whether they watch it on what platform, whether it's on your mobile phone or your TV screen or a tablet. But I like the idea of like collaborate or evaporate.
Yeah, I like that.
That's really cheesy. Yeah. I guess I see it like when they had the decision to go from black and white to color. It's like, it's an obvious decision. They shall do it and they will evolve. And I'm confident in that.
Yeah.
No? Darwinism in its best.
I'm here for that energy.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks to the panel. Thank you.
Well, that was Factual Futures, Who Owns the Audience, recorded live at the TellyCast Digital Content Forum 2025 with Lucy Smith, Gerrit Kemming, Marvin Benoit and Jamie MacDonald. If that gave you a sharper sense of where Factual's heading, the forum returns on the 5th of November at the BFI South Bank. And these sort of conversations around audience ownership and IP ownership is shaping a lot of this year's programme as well. Details and tickets are at digitalcontentforum.com. That's digitalcontentforum.com. Thanks as always for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Justin Crosby, and we'll be back again next week with another show. Until then, stay safe.